Welcome back to Melbourne Retro Games Quest podcast. I'm joined by my co-host Scott. How are you?
Good, mate.
And I'm Partho. And we are back for the first episode in 2017.
That's right, season 2. We're back in action.
Back in action. You got a new dog?
I've got a new dog, and his name's Bowser. He is my little baby. He's an Australian miniature bulldog, and he's
cute.
With me right now. And he is part of the podcast. He's a co-host, although he doesn't speak very often.
The king of the coops.
His afternoon sleep. Oh, it's all right, mate. And he's named Bowser because when I was younger, we had a dog named Yoshi.
Yep.
I thought I'd continue the trend and name him Bowser. And he's a little baby.
Oh, beautiful. And we were doing this podcast in early 2016, but we both had a real busy year, and we stopped doing it, but we're back better than ever.
We're back better than ever, that's right. We had I guess it wasn't a bad year for both of us, but just such busy schedules because we were pushing out probably one podcast a week, and now we want to try and be a bit more realistic. But we're taking a different approach this year. We're doing it over Skype, so we should be hopefully getting around to it a bit easier because we can just do it over the internet.
Yeah, exactly. We don't have to always catch up, always be there. We've got a bit better audio going on as well.
That's right.
And we've got a dog licking your face.
Stop that. Yep. Wait. Give me that. Okay. Alright, well, anyway, let's get into some game discussion, shall we, young man?
Yeah, my first topic for tonight is actually something coming out in this upcoming month or early next month. It's the Nintendo Switch.
Yes, the Dolphin, the NX, the Switch, the Wii U Plus, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Now, I believe you're getting it on the midnight launch.
Well, yes, I have put down a deposit for the pre-order, and I'll be... Oh, look, I might not go to the midnight launch, to be honest with you. I just want to go to bed when I get home. I'm not going to be one of those people that's going to be like, oh my God, got to get this thing open. But I'd rather just shoot down there at 9 o'clock the next day and get it. And, I think I pre-ordered Zelda and Bomberman on it.
Yep.
I'm not sure what the other launch titles are, but those are really the only ones that stood out for me, which are available. Oh, maybe a Mario game, but that might be later on in the year. But yeah, those are the only two that stood out to me straight away.
Yeah, the Mario comes out in, I believe, around Christmas time?
Yeah. Do you have any details on that? Is it more of a type of game, like a Super Mario Sunshine game, or...?
It's more like Super Mario 64, where it's very open, but you've got different, like, worlds. I don't know, because you can go from New York, you can go to, well, I think they're calling it New Donk City, as New York City. It might be in the lines of where you're jumping through, like, worlds or paintings, like, I don't know, not too much information has been released on it.
Why don't they just... I think we were speaking about this on earlier ones. Why don't they just do like a Mario 64 2 or something along those lines? Mario Sunshine 3 or even 2 for that matter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They started off well. They had Super Mario 1, 2 and 3, Lost Worlds, all that, and then it just went crazy from there.
It did. Some of the launch titles, well, you got Zelda, which comes out on the Wii U and the Switch. You excited for that?
I am. Oh, am I excited? I don't know. When you get to my stage of gaming collecting, you get new games and they sit on your shelf for 6 months. So, yes, I am excited. But to be honest with you, I haven't beaten Skyward Sword yet, so probably want to get that done before it comes out.
In my opinion, I hope this is better than Skyward Sword because it didn't really grip me like Twilight Princess did.
Or Velcro.
Or Velcro, yeah.
Just kidding.
We've got, as you mentioned, Super Bomberman R, which comes out.
Yep.
We've got 1-2 Switch, which I think should have been in a pack-in game, but instead you got to spend like $60 on that one.
So they're not doing because I know that Nintendo World came with the Wii U in the early days, just as almost like the Wii Sports or whatever it was that came with the Wii.
Exactly, and they should have done the same thing, but they're not. They're making you buy it.
Well, maybe they've just got a big ego at the moment, Nintendo, because, I mean, everything they've been doing in terms of promotional, like, amiibos and cell games, mobile games, or anything like that has just been selling like hotcakes. So, because now merchandise, I guess, is as popular as the games themselves.
Yeah.
Like I know that on the EB Games Australia website there was a Samus Zero Suit toy or figurine model, which was about $150, which I saw was up for an hour and then it was sold out.
Was it the statue?
Yeah.
That would have been pretty cool.
Yeah, but you know, all the same shit end of the day. Gotta have it.
They're also releasing I Am Setsuno, which I'm not too sure. It recently got added to the list. They're apparently bringing out more launch titles than they were originally when they first announced the Switch. You got Little Inferno, Skylanders.
So a lot of kids games still, let's be honest.
Yeah, Just Dance 17, World Goo, Human Resource Machine, which I'm not too sure about that one as well, and something about Isaac Afterbirth. But
where's fucking... Hang on, do we swear on this podcast? I don't know.
We can.
Where's Bubsy 3, Rock and Roll Racing 2, Earthworm Jim 3, Donkey Kong Country 4?
I would love to see an Earthworm Jim 3.
Where are these games? We're still waiting. The people that are pushing 30, we're waiting. We're the ones that are going to buy it. We don't want Just Dance, whatever it is, and Wickety Whack races. We want some, you know, Hot 2 and Luigi's missing. I don't know. Give us something.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, hopefully this console does a lot better than the Wii U. Both of us, we actually liked the Wii U, but it didn't do well commercially.
Yeah, well, I know that Mario Kart gave it a big boost, and I've said that they're bringing out another version of Mario Kart 8, so hope maybe they're thinking that people will see that, and now because it's a new-looking machine, they'll identify it as the new console, whereas the Wii U was, accused of being the same as a Wii.
Yeah.
So, good on them for actually changing the name.
Yeah, definitely. And what's your favorite part of the console? Like, is it the fact that you can take it around with you?
No, I don't think I'll be doing that. Look, it's almost $500 in Australia, so to take it around, it's a risky thing, you know. And only if I was like dying to play it. I don't think there'd be a game that I couldn't wait till I got home to play, which is where I am most relaxed and do most of my gaming anyway. So
yeah.
No, I don't. Look, there's no favourite part of it. I think it's more just seeing what it's capable of and what kind of software it can. You know, obviously you had Netflix on the Wii U, but can you get all that sort of stuff on there? Can you use apps on it? Is there going to be is the store going to be a bit more friendly, user friendly? I don't know, something like that.
I'm not too sure. They're pretty much putting it out there in the air. It's just a big surprise at the moment, isn't it?
It is, and I guess that's something that people can look forward to, like finding out what the actual console does rather than what games it's just got on it.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I think that Nintendo is just really hot right now in terms of what they're doing, and they're hoping that this one actually sells quite well. But then again, you know, we know we'll both get one, but I doubt that most of the other people I'm friends with will get one or even acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Unless it was to have a 2 terabyte hard drive and, you know, be laced with Call of Duty games, but, you know, that's a different story.
Well, they're only doing 32 gigabyte internal hard drive like they did with the Wii U. You just have to put in the SD card to expand the space.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be surprised if they weren't running off the shelves day one.
That's true.
But anyway, that's that.
Anyways, speaking of Nintendo, we had the NES Mini come out recently. Well, it came out in July originally. Both of us, we pre-ordered it, like smart people. And once it was pretty much sold out everywhere and you couldn't get it, everyone's going nuts over this thing.
Yeah, look, it was just a quick cash grab, really, and played to a lot of people's nostalgia towards the console. I know a lot of people got it thinking it would be awesome, but it it really didn't. The people I do know that got it who aren't gamers really only used it for, say, half an hour and then got over it.
Yeah.
Keeping in mind it wasn't really that user-friendly, and also a lot of the better games weren't on it. It's just basically a glorified emulator or plug-and play. So for us, I mean, we have most of the titles that are on it, but yeah, it was just basically a collector's item, I think, for a lot of people. I mean, it was only $100 or so here, but yeah, I've got it. I haven't opened it. I don't intend on opening it. But yeah, if I want to play any of those games, it's just as easy for me to either play them on the NES or download them and play them.
Yeah.
Instead of setting all that stuff up. I think it's got wide controllers and the cable's short from the television, so yeah.
It's true. It did have a lot of good games on it, but like nothing too out of the ordinary that we don't actually have in our collection that we can just chuck in.
That's right.
But anyways, so the Nintendo Wii is over 10 years old now from last year. When did you get the Nintendo Wii into its release date?
It's a good question. Actually my brother got it, I think, on release, and I didn't really have much to do with it. At that time, I wasn't really into playing the current gen stuff.
Yeah.
But for my personal use, I got one probably maybe 4 years ago for about $20 off a friend, and then I started collecting for it and actually playing it. But yeah, I missed the boat on all the online play and game downloads and stuff, so I didn't really. It's almost like another retro console for me. I miss the time when it was at the height of popularity and you could discuss new games with friends and stuff. And so it's more like when I did get it, everything was already out, and you know, people had moved on from it. You know, they'd done their dash. Everyone had one. You know, like every second person had one, but
everyone owned the Wii.
Yeah, even like parents and stuff. But I guess
even my mum got involved with it.
Yeah, like, because it was just so easy to pick up and play, and it was different. But I think it took a while for people to get over it. But I think it was sort of just for those reasons that the motion controls were the audience, whereas the games like Zelda and the RPGs, you didn't even really hear about them unless you were a hardcore gamer.
Well, the likes of The Last Story, Pandora's Tower, and Xenoblade, they came out way late into its release, like when the Wii was fading out. Like, no one was talking about the Wii, it was all about the PS3 and the Xbox 360, and those came out, even some of their best games that they've actually released, they came out way late into the console's life.
Yeah, I think it was actually, I was with you when I picked up Skyward Sword. I think it had maybe just come out or something like that.
Yeah.
And that was the first new game on the shelf that I'd purchased in a long time. I remember being like, oh my god, it's weird to be buying a game that's just come out. And then playing it for the first time, that was the first, like, I didn't play Twilight Princess, so playing it with the motion controls, I sort of found it a bit difficult to get into.
Yep.
And because of my setup at the time, it wasn't really a comfortable game to play, if that makes sense, because it was like...
No, it does.
You're swinging like the controller and stuff like that. You can't just relax in bed after work and play. You have to be like engaged more than you would be if you're, say, playing just a side scroll or something like that, which to me it was hard to get into it because of that problem. Like, I only had a little TV and I was sort of sitting on the edge of my bed and it was just uncomfortable. And also I had a problem, like, my controllers would always die and I had to go get new batteries and stuff, and I had to also I had to go out and buy a Wii Motion Plus controller because the controller that came with it didn't allow for support of that game. So I had a few problems with it, but in the end we got there.
Yeah, well, with Twilight Princess, it was a bit easier to play anywhere because all it took was a flick of the wrist and it pretty much swung the sword, but with Skyward Sword, it had to be more accurate. So if you wanted to slice a certain way, you actually had to move that certain way with the sword and the Wii remote.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I remember people talking about Twilight Princess without going into it too much, and they really loved it. I had a few friends who had it on the GameCube which loved it, and also on the Wii. But I think the problem, well, not problem, the difference between those two is Twilight Princess came out at the start of the Wii's release, whereas the Skyward Sword came out maybe towards the end.
Yep.
So that's where the problem was, because even though Zelda's a huge franchise, people had sort of moved on.
Yeah, in a way.
Yeah. I think people didn't look at the Wii as a console they'd sit down and play regularly. Rather, they'd play it with their families and, do the golf game and stuff. Like, I know a lot of people got into that and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, some people used to have tournaments just with the bowling alone.
Yeah, so in some ways it's a bit the same as the Wii U. They've tried to balance it out with the Wii U, but when I first got the Wii U, I only had Nintendo Land or Nintendo World, whatever it was called.
Yep.
And it was a bit boring. Like, I remember getting it on release and going home and playing, and I'm like, is this it? Sort of thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And I haven't even really played. I played like 1 hour of the first Mario Galaxy, but that's a Wii game, which I heard is awesome. And I haven't even got around to playing that. And I loved, Mario Sunshine and Mario 64. So
well, Galaxy even came out a bit into the Wii's release. You didn't see it for like the first couple of years. Like, bring it out on release. Like,
well, yeah, that's the thing.
Sell you.
That's their marquee character, and we always talk about this, like, where we should be employed as the marketing people for Nintendo because we have this idea, but I don't think it's our idea alone. I think it's just a common. Every time a new console came out in the past, people would be like, I heard they're bringing out, Xbox 360, Halo 3, you know what I mean? Like,
yep.
You just associate a new console with a brand new game of a popular franchise, whereas when you got the Wii, the NX and stuff, well, the NX you're getting into Zelda, but it's not like it's a sequel to another game that you've already played. Like, they're always different, but it's the same elements, whereas I'd love to have, say, Mario Sunshine 2 or just some, big title sequel,
yep.
just to pull in some old fans,
Yeah. Moving on, what do you reckon your best moment with the Wii was during its lifespan, or when you actually had the console?
I can tell you what the worst moment was. The worst moment was when I'd go out and buy pre-owned games for the Wii, come home and they'd freeze after the first 5 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was annoying. But now I've just shelved my Wii because I transferred all the data over to the Wii U. But best moment, Maramusa. Is that what you call?
The Demon Blade.
Yeah, Maramusa, the Demon Blade. I was looking at that game for a long time, and I found it for $2 at a retail store, and played that for like 6 hours on the first day. And that was probably, even though it's such a simple side scroller, like, it was such a great game and it was so much fun.
Yep.
And just finding it and going home and playing it was really exciting.
There's a lot of high praise in that game, and it also did come out towards the tail end of the Wii as well, so not many people knew about it.
Yeah, it came out on the Vita as well, which I have a copy of it. That's the thing, I love the game, but I haven't beaten it. You just get busy with other games, I guess. It's like everything, but I still enjoyed it for the time I did play it, and I'd love to go back and finish it. Hopefully one day. What about you?
Oh, best moment. I remember plugging it in for the first time because I got it fairly new into its life cycle. It came with the Wii Sports, and I think I picked up Ninja Turtles at the time. I think the movie just came out.
Oh, yeah?
Just playing it for the first time, like, I didn't know much. Like, I heard hype about it, but once you actually pick up the controller and you chuck in the bowling, and you're like, oh my god, yes.
Yeah, it was fun. Because when my brother first got it, we played a little bit of the golf game, and I was pretty blown away by how accurate it was, the motions of your actual movements. So I think that was like a real shock, like, oh, this is really cool, because I had the iToy before that on the PS2, and that didn't really do the same thing. So, but Oh, and also they played GameCube games, so we used it for GameCube, which was really cool.
That was big, and I'm pretty sure it upscaled it a little bit too.
Yeah, that's right, it did too. But yeah, no, it was, in terms of aesthetics, it was a good-looking console, and it was really compact, so it was easy to store, and, it was actually pretty awesome.
It was much cheaper than the other two going around as well. So
I just feel that it won't have we won't reflect back to that console very much in the future. Like, we won't go, remember the Wii because of this, because every console before it, GameCube, Xbox 360, stuff like that, and also consoles after it, sort of already did it. The only thing that it had to offer as being individual out of the other ones is the fact that it had strange controls, but they weren't necessarily good in certain cases.
Yeah.
Like, I rarely speak to someone that says to me, oh man, do you remember playing like Wii Play or whatever it was, Wii Sports, how good were those controls and stuff? Even though they were good, no one ever says that to me.
Yep. No.
They'd much rather tell me about like something else, so I don't know, maybe it will fly under the radar, especially with the Wii U being very similar.
Yeah. But going into my next question, with that being said, is that because of our age? Like, we were the Super Nintendo generation pretty much, and Nintendo 64, PlayStation 1. Because of the younger people playing the console, just say 8, 9, that was their prime console. Like, we have the Super Nintendo. Do you reckon they'll be the ones talking about it in future?
Yeah, look, you're probably right. Like, who are we to really discuss something that we weren't that involved with, although we did have it. Like, we and also a lot of our peers and fellow collectors and stuff are from that NES sort of bracket. So, maybe you're right. Maybe in like 10 years we'll see like YouTube accounts which focus on sort of Wii and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, although it was popular, I think for a lot of kids, they'd much rather talk about how they had a 360 or something, because, people, let's be honest, the price tag on the Wii wasn't that high, so most people had one or the other, or both. Like,
it was like a secondary console.
Yeah, it was. It was something you had in the lounge room. A lot of people still do. You just see it sitting behind their telly. Yeah. And, they only had a few games. They didn't even get, like, Mario Kart and stuff like that.
Yeah. Like, as I was saying, like, a lot of people, including us, we talk about the Super Nintendo, but I reckon the prices of the Wii games, because it's just like us, we try and buy back our memories. We go out, remember playing Super Mario Kart?
Yeah.
That was our first thing with it. While kids today, they would be like, remember playing Mario Kart on the Wii? Maybe that might jump up in value in 10 years. Maybe Miramusa, the Demon Blade, might jump up in 10 years. Who knows? It's actually already jumping up in price right now.
Yeah, well, I think that kind of game, it's sort of like anything, like those games, a lot of those Wii games were bargain bin games.
Yeah.
And it's like anything, you're just going to find that they become extremely popular and extremely rare just because they're on the console.
Yeah.
Like, how much shit was on that console that no one would ever play, no one would ever crack out that console to play some of those games. And that's the thing, like, collectors will end up going through eBay trying to find them, and people will be like, I've got this, I've never seen another copy of it. The reason you haven't seen another copy of it is because everyone that had the game is probably like destroyed it, or it just got shipped out cheap because no one wanted it.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's, well, I guess maybe it does mean it's rare, but it's not rare because of good reasons.
Yeah. Alright, so I've got today's episode's got some general topics, and we're going to start off with the best games of 2016 that you played, just say more than 10 hours of 2016. What was your number 3 pick?
Number 3 pick would be Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat? Which one?
The latest one.
X or XL?
X. I think XL only came out recently. although that would be good to get because of the characters, because they're expensive. Okay, so yeah, I picked it up for the Xbox One.
Yep.
And I loved it straight away. The graphics are amazing on it.
It is. I was playing XL the other day, and I was just chopping everyone's head off with Jason Voorhees.
Yeah, well, they always do that. They try to incorporate some other franchise characters, and it's fun.
Yeah.
But also, like, the characters from, say, our childhood, Mortal Kombat 2 and 3 and stuff like that, just look amazing, done up as, like, you know, fully rendered characters. It just looks great, and the gameplay is awesome. Like, you know, it actually rivals Street Fighter 5.
Yep. I highly agree with that.
Yeah, so
I thought it was so much fun. And
although I'm terrible at it online, I mean, it's still a fun game.
yeah. Like, first time I popped it in, did the install, updates, stupid updates. But I did play the first tower just on beginning, went through to the top, beat the boss. Then I played it again, second tower on the next level, beat it again. That was a lot harder though. And then I stopped there. But I had so much fun in just the 30 minutes that I was playing.
Yeah, I think with a lot of fighting games, you sort of got to choose which ones you're going to be good at and focus on them.
Yep.
Whereas fighting games are my favourite genre.
Yep.
So I have so many, but I'm probably mediocre at most.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll mention my top three. Well, I'll start off with number 3, then we'll go to your number 2 and say a little bit about it. But Tomb Raider was my third pick of 2016. Now, mentioned in previous podcast, you lent it to me.
Yep.
Played it straight away, and I couldn't put it down. Like, our achievement points were coming up on the screen once we did certain bits. I was like, oh yes, I'm beating him in this bit, yes, keep it going. And I just absolutely loved the game. Like, I enjoyed Tomb Raider on the PS4, the new one that came out. This was Rise of the Tomb Raider, so the sequel. And at the time it was just an Xbox exclusive. But now it's coming out on the PS4, but the game is just amazing. Like, I'd buy it on the PS4 just to play it again.
Yeah, well, that's right. It was, like, it's crazy how good it was, because the whole game is sort of so well done. It's almost like just has this wow factor about it, and, like, yeah, it's really hard to explain without giving too much away for those who haven't played it, but, like, you know, it's just, I haven't felt that way about a shooter since, like, Halo 1, because it's just like, wow, it's got all these things and there's extra quests to do. It's got the whole tomb raiding part, but it's also can just be a basic shooter.
Yep.
You know, there's lots of things to unlock, and yeah, you can just basically do pretty much a lot of things that a lot of games aren't offering these days, and it's just fun. And that, yeah, like, that was going to be my number 1 pick because I loved it so much. But yeah, it was a great game. Yeah.
What was your number 2?
Number 2 was here somewhere. Where did I write it down? Oh, Gears of War 4.
Yep.
Yeah,
what did you like about it?
I like the story, although I found it was a bit cliche and in some parts just felt like you were doing the same thing over and over. The thing that I like about it the most, though, is the online aspect of it.
Yep.
I just like the way it's set up and how you can play. And look, I haven't played Gears of War before online, so I don't know how it all is. But yeah, it was just fun. It's a fun online game, basically.
Okay. And how'd you go with the storyline?
Storyline, I don't think I beat number 3 all the way, so I didn't know what was going on half the time. But yeah, I didn't mind it, and it sort of sets it up for future generations of more games in the series. Look, it was a little bit different. A few things I was like, why are they doing this? What is this? You know, like, this isn't supposed to be in a Gears of War game. But, you know, yeah, it's fun. I've always liked the series, and it was good to get another chapter, basically.
Oh, good. My number 2 was Uncharted 4.
Oh, yep.
I'm surprised that this wasn't my number 1 because I thoroughly enjoyed this game. Played it beat it in probably less than a week because I just couldn't put it down. I've loved it from Uncharted 1 to now. The only one I haven't played is on the Vita, which I really do want to play actually. The storyline, you just get immersed with the characters, the adventure. It's just like Tomb Raider. It's exactly the same sort of game, adventure style shooter. Quick thinking, you go for the quest, there's side things to find. It's just so good. It's just like watching a movie as well.
I've heard that. That hasn't been the first time I've heard that. And it has like an emotional hook to it.
Well, yeah, like they all do. Like it's just so good. Naughty Dog just can't do wrong with those sorts of games. Like The Last of Us, they're both amazing games.
Yeah, it's almost like they set the benchmark for games, but they're only. It's almost like they have such a high quality of games that the reason they're so good is because they appeal to people who actually played games for storylines and stuff like that back in the day.
Yep.
Whereas these days there's a lot of games that, they're only an 11-hour campaign, you can just bang through them and there's hardly anything to really go. You just compare a game, say, you got Last of Us against, what's come out that's, supposed to be a AAA title recently that just hasn't delivered.
I don't know. Watch Dogs?
Watch Dogs.
That flopped big time and they had a lot of hype around it.
I never played it, so I don't know what it's like. But, you just look at, like, Fallout 4 got a lot of negative feedback.
Yep.
And that was up there too as being an awesome game. And, like, that sort of just, they're completely different games. It's really hard to compare them. But, good on Naughty Dog to sticking to their guns and doing these, like, from a company that was making sort of kiddie games based around, like, funny characters. Yeah. It's just good to see them making, like, almost, like you said, movie sort of games that are just, like, it's just more story-based, and even the gameplay is fantastic. It's like, you just wonder what goes into those games to really set them up, like, from a basic idea to just, like, the soundtrack and pretty much everything.
Yeah. So, alright. What would be your number one of 2016?
Well, my number one was Tomb Raider, but you already stole it, so...
That's right. Well,
Tomb Raider was awesome. Although it didn't have the story aspect of Last of Us. It had a good story, but it wasn't really that captivating like The Last of Us.
It wasn't captivating, but it was still good, and the gameplay was good.
Yeah, gameplay was good. It was smooth too. There wasn't anything that I was like, this doesn't really work or whatever.
Yeah.
It was just good. Yeah. What about you, my friend?
My number one will actually come as a big surprise to you, but it might not, because I was very hesitant about buying this one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually crept to my number one, and that is Overwatch.
Overwatch.
You forgot about that one, didn't you?
No, it doesn't surprise me.
I did not want to get it. You were this close to even buying it for me, and I went out and I took the risk, and I could not put it down.
It's funny because, I was to the point where I'm like, oh my god, you've got to get it. And then, like, we've been probably about 25 minutes, you're already past me in levels. Like, I'm still, like, I think I'm on 25, not even, and, you're so high up. And I really grinded for a couple of days there before the wedding trying to get up. It took us like 3 days to go up like 10 levels.
If you haven't played it, it is such a fun online game. Usually I'm not an online person, I'm more of just a story-based person, single player. But there's the teamwork, the character selection, they've all got their personalities. You find different things, there's new skins coming out, like they just had the new Chinese New Year. That was pretty cool as well.
Yeah, it's very inclusive, the game. It sort of caters for everyone from all around the world, and there's a character for everyone of all, depending on what you're into, really, you can sort of find someone. They all play so differently that you can even if you have to go somewhere you don't usually go, you can still have a good time. And because it's still like a light-hearted game and colourful, and it's just enjoyable.
Yeah.
Even if you don't even like shooters, it's not necessarily a shooter because you've got these characters that just do all these crazy things, and if you want to just do something a bit different and maybe just like protect or heal or something like that, you can. It's almost like each character offers a different game.
Yeah. It is so well done. It was so well put together as well. Blizzard done such a great job.
Yeah, that's just really hit the nail on the head for them. Yeah, good on them.
All right, well, this is going to wrap up episode 1 of 2017. Stay tuned for more episodes. We'll try and put this out to the air as soon as possible and let the quest continue.
All right, see you later.
See you, mate. Bye.